Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 6 of Ben and Nate's Questions That We Ask People on the Internet. I am one half of your host, Nathan Fay. I'm a licensed and board certified massage therapist, as well as an osteopathic manual therapist. And when I'm not doing that in my practice, I'm spending my time on the road presenting for Eric Dolan and the Freedom from Pain Institute.
Hey everyone, I'm the other half. My name is Ben, and I've been a licensed massage therapist since 2003. I've done all kinds of things in massage. I have a bachelor's degree in communication studies from the University of Nebraska. I love to learn. I'm nationally board certified in therapeutic massage and bodywork. I do all kinds of stuff, and when I'm not doing massage, I am doing some photography stuff. I just got into that recently. But let's get into this episode, because this is a pretty big episode. Hot topic, Nate. What do we have for this week?
Hot topic. Well, as you know, this is Ben and Nate's Questions That We Ask People on the Internet. And this week, we pose the question about massage championships and specifically what folks' thoughts are on massage championships. So before we get into all that good stuff, let's just catch up. It's been a couple weeks since we recorded our last episode. Great. That was a great episode with our good friend, Trisha Gilbert. So what's been up with you, and what's new and exciting and all the good stuff?
As I mentioned earlier, man, I've been looking into photography as a hobby, and I've had a lot of opportunity to get out and take some pictures recently. So it's been really fun.
That's awesome. Your photos look great, by the way. Are you taking classes, or are you just self-studying?
Yeah, I took some classes earlier this year, and so now that I'm done with classes, I'm kind of just teaching myself and learning on the go. Tell me what's been new with you, Nate.
What's been new? I just came back from a great class in New York. I did another AMTA, presenting for Eric Dalton, another AMTA event up in New York, and had a great time, great group. And then it's probably by the time this episode airs, I'll be there, but we're getting ready for our annual Pain in Paradise, our annual Costa Rica retreat with Eric Dalton and the gang, coming up a couple days after Thanksgiving. So this will be my, I think, 4th or 5th year going down with Eric, and this is Eric's 23rd year. It's pretty awesome.
That's amazing. Nate, tell me what's your favorite part about going to Costa Rica?
Well, it's been a different experience every single year. The weather's, this time of year coming out of New England, the weather's super awesome. Usually this time of year in Costa Rica, they're coming off of their rainy season. So we get like some mid 70s, low 80s temperatures. The resort's up in the, like up on the mountain in the almost like the rainforest, if you will, cloud forest, rainforest. Food is fantastic. Coffee is fantastic. We get people from all over the world every year. I mean, in the past, we've had people from Singapore, Australia, the UK. But you asked me what my favorite thing is, man, it's just watching Eric. It's watching Eric do his magic and getting up there and doing what he loves to do. And it's just fun. Just real good time watching him work.
Sounds like a good time. I want to get there, but every time I try, it's already full, right? And there's a waiting list of about 135 people.
We have a huge waiting list this year.
How about this, Nate? I also got another question for you before we dive deeper into the questions. What is a laundry machine's favorite chocolate?
Ben, what is a laundry machine's favorite chocolate?
Lint.
Winner. Another winner.
Let's get into this week's question. And I'm just going to read it off.
Yeah.
What do therapists think about massage competitions? And is it good or bad for our industry, and why? So you asked this question, Nate, and I always pick your brain. I want to know, what's the reason? Why do you want to know? Why do you want to know about this?
Why do I want to know about this? Well, I guess I first started hearing about massage competitions several years ago. Like, well, what's this all about? How can massage be a competition? And how do we compete? And I've noticed that there was one main festival that was taking place, and now I'm seeing some more pop up. So I was curious to see, like everything that we do on Ben and Nate's questions that we ask people within our industry primarily. I'm always curious what other folks' thoughts are on this. So I wanted to know what people think about massage competitions. Is it good for our industry? Is it bad? Or do people just not necessarily care, right?
Yeah, so curiosity, huh?
Curiosity this time. And we had probably, out of all the questions that we've asked on the internet, I think we probably had our most responses on this. I actually lost count. I think we got about 70 or 80 responses total. So people were interested, and a lot of people had their opinion. Some people didn't even know what we were talking about when it came to massage competitions. Some people had some pretty passionate responses for us and some passionate private messages for us as well.
It's interesting, Nate, because what I noticed, what you mentioned too, is a lot of people did not know that this was a thing and had questions like, what is this? I've never heard about this. And like you, I heard about this massage competition several years ago. And I think it was the World Championships of Massage that was in Europe somewhere, Denmark or Copenhagen, something like that. I heard about it. First thing I thought, because of who I am, is how do I enter and how do I win? I had no I had no clue anything about this. I'm a competitive person. I wanted to win.
Love it.
So I looked it up, and the distance was kind of I was like, I'm probably won't be able to make it there. But I looked into what is it? How does it happen? How does it work? And that's what a lot of other people had questions about. So I think we should maybe dive into that a little bit and define what is a massage competition championship. I don't know what, maybe we should just call it a competition for the sake of this podcast, and talk about what it is, why it happens, how it happens, and just kind of flesh out the basics.
All right. Go for it, buddy.
Nate, I think we need some type of disclaimer before we get too deep into this episode.
Disclaimer alert, disclaimer alert. The opinions expressed on this show are of Ben and Nate's and not of any other entity, whether it's our sole practice or any other organization we are working for.
The main purpose for this show is entertainment, and if you learn something or feel like you got entertained, let us know because we'd love to hear. Well, let's talk about what is a massage competition, and I think that's a good place to start.
Okay. So there's categories, right? There's medals, trophies, if you will, that are awarded. It's a judged competition. So what do you know about that?
So there are several categories, and some of the names for those categories are called freestyle, Western freestyle, Eastern freestyle, Swedish category. There's different categories. I didn't look into what makes up each category. I just know that there are several categories. In researching all of this stuff, I talked with several people who have participated, organized, and judged these events. So although Nate and I have not participated, we've gotten information from other people who have. And so we're piecing all this together for you guys, so you guys know what it's all about.
Go ahead and tell us a little bit more about that, Ben.
Yeah, right now we are in the first year of the American Massage Championships, I believe it's called. And there are about 27 states who have participated, and they have their own state competitions. And there is a state overall winner, I believe. There are certain rules. The judges use a type of rubric to decide how many points each person gets. I had to look up what a rubric was because I wasn't sure, which is basically just a fancy way for, say, a teacher to grade lots of papers very quickly because there's certain standards. They look at those standards, put points based on what they see. So what you'll see in a competition is there may be 4 or 5 judges that are watching maybe 10 competitors all at the same time. So they're not just watching one person at one time. They're watching out over the whole floor.
We're going to talk about what about from the client, or in this case, probably I don't know if we'd use the word client or receiver. And it sounds like there's nothing judged as far as what we've talked about in past episodes, right? History, intake, what do we know about that aspect going into it from the perspective of the person getting the work?
That's a good question. The way I understand it is each state is organized by a different person. Now, one person can be an organizer for multiple states. And so potentially each state can have a little bit different rules on how it works. Some of the states, they actually do require an intake for the person getting the massage. They go through an intake, and that person receiving the massage also has a small input on the final score for that participant. So there is a little bit of input from the person receiving the massage, but it doesn't sound like there's a whole lot of that going on.
All right. So let's step away from that for a minute and let's talk about some of the answers that popped out to us. And I actually we always talk about like let's pick our favorite. I think in this case here we can probably pick like two or three to talk about. Going into this, like your response was interesting about like, man, I want to find out what this is because I want to go and win this thing. And my 13-year-old boy brain went right to like my old days of WF wrestling, right back in the 80s, and I'm picturing ladders and tables and therapists jumping off the top rope and getting heavyweight championship belts. But we of course know it's not that, and that's certainly all in jest for me to say that, but that's sort of like what I was thinking. With that being said, I think one of my favorite answers with the respect to that, right, came from a woman. Her name is Cheryl, and Cheryl also posted in her response that she's a client. This was her perspective as a client, and that being a healer is a gift, right? And a competition doesn't honor that at all. I thought that was pretty interesting. And I love that response for a couple different reasons. I liked it because we can step away from the competition thing for a minute, right? And think about our own careers. Like, are we in competition with other therapists, like from a business perspective? Or when we go take continuing education classes, how are our egos? Are our egos in check? And I think as I've gotten a little bit older in my career, one of the things that I found is that when I've stopped thinking competitively and just started giving, right, the more that I sort of got back. I keep asking the question, right? Yeah, why a competition? Are we really honoring our industry and therapy by having a competition? And that leads me into a couple other responses. A couple people said that, that whether they liked it or not, right? They question, a lot of people question, like, why is there a competition? One guy, Jeremy, had a nice, thoughtful response about just because somebody has fancy moves, right, doesn't mean they know how to address a client's concern. Hey, at the end of the day, it could be fun for the industry. It could be a fun way to get massage out there. It could be entertainment, if you will. But I still ask the question, and I think this question was asked like in the art world, right? Is it art? I'm not sure. So if we're talking about getting it out for the massage industry, because some people are like, well, it's a way to promote massage. So are we really promoting massage? Our clients looking in from the outside, saying, oh, wow, that person's suspended from the air, massaging that person. I think I really need that. And I don't think it is, right? I don't think it's promoting that. And I'm wondering if the average client might think, oh, that looks a little scary. I don't want somebody doing that, for me. We can also pose the same question. Do surgeons have surgical competitions? Do dentists have cavity cleaning competitions? PTs, chiropractors, and so on. So I still ask the question, is it art? Is it entertainment? And why? And nobody can really answer that question, why. I haven't gotten a firm why. Why are we doing it?
Nate, in preparing for this episode, I have about 3 pages worth of notes. And here's what I attempted to do. I tried to clear my brain of all previous thoughts, experiences, and no bias, no nothing. So many ways to think about this. And you brought up so many things to talk about. But one of the things that I want to first say is there's a lot of people who are putting time and effort into this. As you said when we were talking earlier, just because we have an opinion on this topic doesn't mean that it should affect the outcome of what's going on. And going back to the question, What's driving this episode? Is a massage competition good or bad for the industry? So one thing I think about is there's no such thing as bad publicity, right? But when you look at all these comments that we've had, massage therapists didn't even know that this was a thing. So if our own industry didn't know that this is a thing, do you think the general public really knows? I'm guessing probably nobody knows.
Yes, yeah, definitely not. Right.
So is this a bad thing for our industry? I'm going to say probably not.
Yeah,
It's not
probably
it's
not.
not going to
Right.
hurt anything. And one of the things that I got from people who I talk to who have participated is it's not all just about the competition. I kind of got the sense that it's probably the least important part of the weekend, because what happens is they bring in continuing education, and these people have said it almost seems like it's not really about competing against other massage therapists, but competing against yourself to get better at what you do. My follow-up question to that was, well, then why do we have gold, silver, and bronze medals if you're not competing against other people? One of the things that I thought of as if I'm trying to keep a clean slate is in high school, I was in the marching band, right? I don't know if you did that or not.
Sure
But
did.
in the marching band, you go out and you compete, but you're not really competing against other marching bands. You're competing against what level you're going to get. Are you going to get the superior rating, 1, 2, or a 3? So potentially everyone at that competition could get the highest rating. So potentially we could have a massage competition where everyone demonstrates the most superior ability possible and everyone could win there. That's one of the ways that I looked at it.
Let's put it from this perspective. I'm a client, and I'm looking at your website, and I see that you're a gold medal winner at the massage competition. So what does that mean to me as a client? What do I know about that? What does that mean to me? My low back hurts. You're a gold medal winner. What does that mean to me?
That's another great question. General public probably doesn't know about massage competitions, so you're thinking, well, this person is going to be good. Does a competition mean that this person is good, or it just means that they have done what the judges are looking for?
Sure.
Because you don't just earn a gold medal for no reason. The people who are earning the gold medals have done something in the eyes of the judges that makes them earn that gold medal, correct?
Right. The massage work that's being done, right, in a competition, and as you say, right, there's outcomes, it's being judged, it's being graded, it's being scored. That doesn't necessarily translate back to, at the end of the day, it doesn't really translate back to the treatment room. Does this make this entertainment? Is it art? Right? Is it art and entertainment, and solely that?
I don't want to be biased based on some of the things that I've been taught. So if you look at it from that point of view, hey, this is a form of art, because massage is often thought of as art. When I think of a competition, I think of, let's just pick soccer, for instance, soccer tournament. There are specific rules, right? You can't touch the ball with your hand. There's certain things, there's points involved. You score a point by putting the ball in the goal. When I look at a massage competition, I don't see clear-cut ways to earn points. I see categories that judges use, and one of those categories is, I'm going to judge you based on your flow. That's one of the categories that they use. What does flow mean? I don't know. I think the judges all get together and talk about what all of the point scoring means before they judge. So they all have kind of an idea of how to judge, but at the end of the day, I don't know how squarely you can put points on people.
I always thought if I entered one of these competitions, I'd probably get like low scores,
You and I have talked about that before, right? 'Cause it looked like we're doing nothing.
Hang out in an area, looks like we're doing nothing, right? We're talking to our clients the whole time, we're interacting with them.
Here's another thought I had. Imagine a Lego competition. Let me try and flesh this out here, right? It's a competition on building a Lego structure, and you are limited by the laws of physics. So those are your rules. How well do the bricks stick together, and how big you can build it based on what your Legos will do. So that's part of the judging process. Now, let's just say you get somebody that says, I don't want to play by those rules. I want to play by my own rules. So therefore, I'm going to use super glue. And I'm going to super glue these bricks together. Now I don't have to worry about gravity and physics, and I can build whatever I want. So in that sense, by breaking the rules, you're allowed to create all kinds of cool things that are just outside of the box. So now when we look at a massage competition like that, we're breaking the rules of what conventional massage may be thought of, or at least therapeutic massage. And now we have all these rules being broken that are like, whoa, that's cool. And maybe something new comes out of it. That's one of the things that I thought about also.
What do you think would come out of it for the greater good of the industry?
So think about this. One of the categories that people are judged on is creativity or innovativeness. And so if you're trying to be innovative for the judges, maybe you might just stumble across the new way to get to a certain type of muscle that someone else hadn't thought of.
Let's say it goes from the competition, right? Based off of the, idea or analogy that you just used. And then how does it get out to the massage therapist?
That's another good question.
Yeah, these are all, and I mean, we can volley back and forth. I mean, that's,
Right. And here's one thing I learned is that it's the first year of the American Massage Championships. So it's in its infancy. So where it's going to evolve to, who knows?
we talked about competitions and there's sports competitions, right? You use the idea of a Lego competition, and my son used to take place in karate competitions, and now he's he's been a musician, and he goes and competes and for auditions, right? If he's a good player, he'll have a higher ranking where he sits in the orchestra, that sort of thing. Musicians have auditions and have to practice and to get better so that they can achieve a higher level. And in sports, the same thing happens. If you're a solid player, during tryouts, you're going to be a starting player. This isn't bad for our industry. I'm not sure if it's good for our industry. I think at the end of the day, it boils down to, there's people that are enjoying doing it. And I think at the end of the day, it's okay. It doesn't harm you. It doesn't harm me. And it doesn't harm anybody else. Trying to clear my head, like you say, I just don't see how you can judge therapy. I'm going to stand on my hill with that one.
I understand where you're coming from, and it's very difficult because it's outcome based. Makes it hard to say, well, it's very subjective, right? How can you say that you are better than someone else at working on someone's low back? So think about this. When you were in massage school, the person on the table, they didn't matter very much. I mean, they did, but you needed practice learning what effleurage, petrissage, friction, depot, vibration, compression, all that stuff. Needed to know what all that stuff was and practice it, right?
Yeah, that's right.
As we look at this, and here's another way that I was looking at this, is a way to get better because you have judges that are looking at you and judging you on draping, on flow, on, I forget the other categories that they judge you on. But that brings up another question is, how do we get better? This could be a topic for a whole nother episode too. When we go to continuing education, so we go to an Eric Dalton workshop, when I go, I'm being judged on by the TAs and the instructors out there. I'm being judged based on something I just learned. I need time to practice that. The big question there is, how do we get better at massage? How do we get better at things that aren't normally thought of as practice? Like, how do I get better as an accountant? How do I get better as a surgeon? Those type of questions, I think, are maybe what we can bring into this whole competition part is it's part of bettering ourselves in our industry and in our profession.
And you brought up the continuing education aspect, and that's, when I'm out there teaching, it's a big thing, and I talk about this in the beginning of the class, like we have to forget about the person that's on the table. We're learning hand placements, we're learning techniques, we're learning where to put our hands. So we can't start getting into like the who's on your table. I mean, asking basic questions to be safe, etc. Having good client communication while people are practicing is important too. But, we do have to take that element out of how the therapist is practicing, right? So yeah, there is an element of you're there learning your techniques. I, as the instructor in the front of the room, I'm watching people perform their techniques and I'm talking through it until people get it. The TAs are coming around and helping you, to sort of get it even further, right? So then how do we get better, right? Well, they call it practice for a reason. Doctors, surgeons, right, on that sort of level of patient care, right? Sort of get, we learn over time. And then there's so many factors to that as well. I do mentorships in my office once in a while, right? I do these one-on-one. I actually did a bunch of mentorships myself back in the day and did one-on-one studying with a therapist who I really admired, and to have all those things get judged and challenged and how good of a therapist I was to get myself even better.
Yeah, what's the saying? It requires 10,000 hours of practice to become a master.
Yeah.
Well, and it's not just 10,000 hours, but it's 10,000 mindful, purposeful, meaningful hours. Not just practicing the same two notes over and over, but challenging yourself to get out of your box and make yourself grow.
So then bringing this all back to the massage competition, going to compete, judged by your peers, if you will, and being judged by colleagues, right? That could be a form of mentoring. That could actually become a good thing. But then, maybe with that being said, and my thoughts here, then maybe we, or not we, because I'm not part of it, but do we leave medals out of it? Are medals sort of a falsehood? Like if I get a gold medal in something and then like all of a sudden my practice is failing, clients aren't coming, and then I'm sitting back going, but they told me I was good. They told me I was a gold medalist. That relates back to my music days, right? My teachers were finally telling me how good I was. Well, then how come it was so hard to get gigs?
Well, and those are two completely different things. You may be
Sure,
good
very.
at massage, but are you good
Right.
at the marketing and all that stuff? And that's where getting
Sure.
a coach comes in. Like, hey, I need a coach to help get me to the next level on my marketing, that kind of thing.
Or what if it's the opposite though? What if it's your clients telling you, man, you hurt me last session. I can't come back and see you. It's terrible. This is terrible. That's terrible.
Once again, I think a coach would be a valuable part of that. But then when you're not bringing in the income, how do you afford a coach? Which, we could go down all those rabbit holes, right?
I think we just had 10 offshoot
I
episodes.
know. Like you said, I want to bring it back to this question,
Sure.
and I want to ask, what did we learn out of this conversation?
Well, you know what, Ben, and kind of our banter here, I think I learned, right, thinking about what's good is and what's bad isn't necessarily what it's all about, right? There's no harm being done. People are having a good time at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, that's okay with me. Personally, I'm gonna have, right, just like everybody else, I'm gonna kind of stand on my hill with certain things of maybe the word competition isn't the best word, maybe medals aren't the best thing to do. But yeah, I think coming out of this episode, I can easily say now that it's not a bad thing.
I would say if there was a competition in my state, I don't know that I would compete, but I may attend and find out more about what it's all about.
I think I would too. I think I would too after talking this out. My mind has been changed to some degree, and that's not a bad thing. I think massage therapists that don't know about this stuff should be getting out there, right? And learn more about our industry, learn what's happening in our industry. And I think at the end of the day, for our industry to continue to propel forward, we have to know, what's behind the scenes, what's happening in our fields, so that we can, be part of propelling it forward in the right direction.
I've always been a big advocate for the professional associations that we have, the ABMP, the AMTA. If you have a local chapter, I would encourage you to get involved. Those organizations do so much for us that we don't even realize. They look out for our interests in Washington, right? Bills are being passed that are going to affect our industry. They're there looking at that. And if they don't have our support or our knowledge, how's that going to affect our industry?
So yeah, get out there and know what's going on outside of your treatment room.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for watching. This has been an episode of Ben and Nate's Questions We Ask People on the Internet. Tell them how it works, Nate.
You visit our Facebook page, Ben and Nate's Questions That We Ask People on the Internet, and each week we propose a question. You answer it, and then we do exactly what we did today. We record an episode talking about the topic, picking our favorite answers, and discussing them.
And we'd love it if we got feedback from you guys. Let us know what you like, what you didn't like, and what you'd like to see in the future from us.
We'll see you next time. Thanks for a great episode 6, Ben, and we'll look forward to seeing you at episode 7 coming up soon.